Welcome to Over the Edge podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Rankin. Hi, welcome to this week's podcast. Okay, so I wanted to touch base on the idea of pivoting and what that actually means and for businesses, for your life, for relationships, and, possible decisions that you're trying to make in regards to your future. So, first off, let me just kind of give a basic definition of what pivot means. Technically, it's the central point on which a mechanism turns or oscillates, right? So when we put that in the verb or an action setting, it's the action of pivoting is changing direction. So to pivot something, I know some of us may have grown up watching Friends episodes, and there's this particular scene where, Ross and Chandler, they're trying to move this couch up a stairwell to get it into Ross's apartment, right? And Ross keeps yelling, pivot, 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 which means turn, turn, turn. It's changing the direction, right? So some of us have actually experienced a lot of pivoting in corporate America. I know when I was in corporate America, there was quite a bit of pivotal moments in the way that we changed directions and the way that we did business. And, sometimes that worked in our favor and sometimes not. But I think overall, we have to really look at pivoting as a necessary means to evolve going forward, right? So I have a couple of questions that I'd like to talking points I'd like to kind of point out today, which is, one, why would you pivot? And is pivoting the same as giving up? The world is changing and evolving. The question is, are you? So today we're going to kind of dive into the conversation of, one, why would you pivot? Why would a business pivot? Why would you as an individual choose to pivot? And I really feel that a lot of us have kind of hit walls in life, and we just don't know what to do. Like, do we ask those questions of, do we move forward the way that we always have been? And I would like to remind you that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Okay, so when, this is why I think, pivoting is so important. It's like a key ingredient. It's like a key action that we should be willing to take. But a lot of people are stuck in fear. They don't know, what changes will occur, or the consequences, or the results of changing things up in their lives and in their businesses. And and I think that's kind of the wrong way to look at it. I think in my personal opinion, it's the free thinkers, it's the critical thinkers, it's the ones who are willing to take those risks, it's the entrepreneurs, it's the ones who are the creative minds. Those are the people who are willing to take action and to see things differently. Why? Because they envision things differently. And when we tend to envision things differently, we can create something that possibly hasn't been done before, and it can be really good for us. And so I think today it's like, why would you pivot? Again, maybe you've hit a brick wall and you've just decided, well, this is whatever I'm doing in business or relationship or combination thereof just isn't working. It's just you changing your direction in life. And where does that start? That starts with you choosing. One is choosing a different direction, choosing to make that change. And then the second part of that is you actually taking the action of that choice. We can sit there and choose things all day long, like as if life handed us a menu and we're like, I choose this, 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 and this. And yet if we never act upon it, it's going to go nowhere. So, this is one of those things of where, if you're gonna pivot or make a change in life, you're choosing to evolve or go into a different direction, you actually not only have to make that conscious choice, but you have to follow it up with action. And that's where a lot of people tend to get stuck. And so that kind of brings me to my next talking point is pivoting the same as giving up? Some people get stuck with and taking the action, and it's because they think that if they do, that it's them giving up on something, that it's them giving up on their dreams or them giving up on their business or the relationship or whatever that is. And that's just simply not the case. Giving up is abandonment. You're totally walking away from it. Pivoting, I'm going to put this into a business standpoint. So, and I'm going to give you a personal example of something that I'm currently going through. So, from a business standpoint, pivoting doesn't mean that you give up on the business. It means that you're looking at new ways or new ideas, new methods of either promoting your business or, expanding it or creating it beyond what is currently in front of you. And so for a personal example is, I have the Gypsy Moon Boutique, which was an online boutique, and it is still active and running. And but I'll be honest, the economics of the pandemic of 2020 really, and the fact that I do part of my business through Amazon.com, it really took a hit. Okay, people were afraid to spend money. I was considered, quote, a non-essential, business. So, my business took a hit. Well, I didn't give up on it. I chose to pivot the way that I did things. And doing so, I expanded, and it ended up bringing up a totally new business model that is created a sister business for me. So it's kind of, we have to start looking at what our options are and realizing that we're never stuck, okay? The only time that you are truly stuck is when you have decided so concretely that you are unwilling to change things in your situation. That's when you're truly stuck, is when you're holding on to something so friggin' tightly that you refuse to change course and to take action upon that. That's when you are truly stuck. Other than that, we are not stuck. We're not stuck in, business. We're not stuck in relationship. We're not stuck in, politics, government stuff, anything that's going on like that. It's all about pivoting, and it's all about evolving, and it's about moving forward. But again, in order to do that, you have to do two key things. The first thing is you have to choose to move forward. You have to choose to pivot. You have to choose that change. And then the second key ingredient is you taking inspired action. So I think right now, it's really very important for us to start looking at the action of pivoting as a tool, as a resource, as a method of us evolving, in business, relationship, whatever it may be, and to not be afraid, to move beyond the fear and to move beyond just the idea of, that we can only create so much, or we have this limited belief structure. We ask the questions, and asking questions is a really great it's a great resource. It's a tool that we all have, and it's just asking the questions of of your business. And I'm coming at this more from a business standpoint than from anything else right now. But because I think that's kind of the easiest. That's the easiest target to come from, right? Is from the business standpoint. But if we ask ourselves, we can parlay that into any sort of scenario. And, whether it's relationship or whatever. But with the business, I think it's more so of asking questions of, what does my business require right now? What are people asking for? The world has changed. I think back on when I was growing up, we didn't have, we had computers, but they weren't used for personal use, right? I still remember my Apple II computer that my parents got when I was in middle school, so that's how old. Wow, I just really dated myself. But I mean, honestly, that's, we did things differently. I was in high school or just graduating before cell phones came out, right? So, when I look at technology and how far, the leaps and bounds and things that we've gone through just over the last 45 years, it's amazing. It's really amazing. Life has changed. People are changing the way that they shop. People are changing the way that they do business. People are changing the way that they communicate with others. And those are some of the things. So if you're holding on to this really old school idea of, or a way of doing things, and you're finding that it's not working for you, perhaps it's time for you to, open up and venture into, new ways of creating, new ways of creating business, new ways of promoting, marketing, whatever that may be. And it's hard for some folks, because, we have people that are like, I've been doing business this way for years and years and years, and they're wondering why they're reaching a hardship. And it's because you have to kind of think outside the box. Here's one great thing for business owners, for those entrepreneurs. If you're looking to create something, ask yourself, what does the community need? Not necessarily, what do they desire, right? But what do they need? Can you fulfill a need that customers and clients have? And, and don't be afraid for it to look differently. I think this is kind of a recurring theme for my podcast is, like, don't be afraid of it looking different than it's ever looked before, right? Or, the way that you present it, the way that you package it to the world. Don't be afraid of it looking different, okay? The key is because I think right now people are kind of tired of the whole cookie cutter thing. They're tired of, the same humdrum way that things have been going and the way that they've been working. And they're looking for different, new, fresh ideas. They're looking for, like this almost like rebirth of customer service, this personalized touch, this way of doing things that you, the individual, have the capacity to bring into the world. So, and if you want to look at, relationships, let's kind of touch on that as well. With pivoting within relationships, changing the direction, for those of you, I'm currently not married. I was married once, and that's a whole nother podcast within itself. But, there's this energy of, like, when things are kind of at a stalemate or things aren't working, we have to ask ourselves, one, is it time to change direction? And that could be change direction as in the way that you communicate, the way that you live your daily lives, the way that you present yourself to others, the way that others present themselves to you. It could also mean that, you change direction as in leaving toxic relationships. And relationships aren't just about marriages. It's about, it's about family and friends and coworkers and things of that nature too. So, there's so many different aspects in how you can pose the question of, why would I pivot? Or why would I change directions? Why would I even entertain this? Why would I do this? And when you start weighing out pros and cons, there's going to be really great indicators that life is going to gift to you, that you'll start seeing the direction that you need to take. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to change direction. Don't be afraid to change things up. Don't be afraid to choose something that you've never chosen before. Again, I'm going to end the podcast on this. The world is evolving and changing. Are you? Are you willing to evolve and change? And if so, maybe now's the time.